Hey, how's it going? So, on Tucker Carlson in the United States, for my American viewers, and those of you outside the United States, you've probably seen clips of this. Tucker Carlson, who is a broadcaster on Fox News, and he's actually the only broadcaster on any of the legacy media who is trying to tell the truth about the things that are going on around the world. Well, he was deeply troubled by the fact that there's this group of African Israelites, I think they are. It's this crazy ass group of guys who are African American who believe all kinds of nonsense. I mean, they're just like really out to lunch. And a lot of the things that they believe in are kind of outrageous and or despicable, But the Biden administration is persecuting them because of free speech, because of shit that they have said. And like little posters that they put up here and there that mean nothing. I mean, they're just a little radical, crazy-ass outfit that has zero political impact, although they are fairly noticeable. But, they're more like an amusement, really, than anything else. I mean, you can't take them seriously. But the Biden administration is persecuting these people because of their speech. They haven't done anything. They haven't, burned down a building like Black Lives Matter did back in 2020. Oh, no. These guys, they just give their little speeches and their little bullshit and their little pamphlets, and that's it. And the Biden administration is persecuting them using the federal government to shut them down. Now, Tucker Carlson has been talking about this quite a bit, and with good reason, because this is the epitome of freedom of speech. To say something stupid and outrageous that most everybody disagrees with, but okay, fine, you do you, kind of thing, right? On the flip side, Facebook is now censoring the Seymour Hersh story. The Seymour Hersh story about the Nord Stream bombing. Seymour Hersh, in his article, he said that the Americans did it in conjunction with the Norwegians, and there was this peripheral assistance provided by the Poles, apparently, and perhaps the Brits as well. I forgot, to tell you the truth. It's not important. The point is that, Facebook is saying that the story was fact-checked by independent fact-checkers who said that it's not true, and therefore they're censoring this vital piece of information from their platform. You can't share the link to the article or anything. It gets blocked. Now, in my own case, like on Google the other day, I started noticing some, just weird stuff that was popping up, referencing me. And I was like, what's going on? So I Googled myself. I don't do this regularly, okay? I don't need Google to give me an inflated sense of self-value. So I Googled myself, and it was really weird because it was just a mishmash of stuff that just sort of downplayed me completely. There's no mention of my YouTube channels. There's no mention of the things I've done. Nothing. Except the one thing that did pop up was my Wikipedia entry in Russian. Oh, that's a bad sign, right? But it was not, it was completely imbalanced. And in fact, the second thing that popped up was this Mexican movie critic called Gonzalo Lira Galvan. And I've never met the man, but, because we have the same name, I've come across him a time or two on social media and what have you. But I don't mean any disrespect to my the guy who shares the same name as me, but he's not that noteworthy, certainly not in the English language. He writes exclusively in Spanish, of course. But he came up more than a lot of the other shit that I've done in my time. I mean, like books, social media, all that bullshit, right? And then I checked on, I tried to check Yandex, but I can't reach Yandex here in Ukraine. But I checked Bing and I checked Yahoo, the search engines. And they were a lot more balanced, and they had a lot more stuff about me. And what am I trying to say this, What I'm saying is that information repression is very much active right now in the United States. It's increasingly the case in Europe. In Germany, they have no idea about the Seymour Hersh article. The repression against information is accelerating. It's becoming a lot worse. And now it's not just the corporations who are repressing information. It's the American federal government that is repressing information insofar as these black Israelite people. Mm. And so my point, the point I want to make is that, see, you're going to see more and more repression, a lot more repression. And you're going to see a lot more fake news, lies, propaganda to obfuscate the truth. And the government and the corporations who are aligned with the government are going to be assisting in this. And it's deeply troubling, and quite frankly, I don't think that there's any solution to it. Not really. Not as a practical matter. Mm-hmm. I mean, if they're willing to sick the government on some random marginal group, it's like with Alex Jones. Actually, it goes back to Andrew Anglin and Stormfront. Back in 2017, 6 years ago, that's nothing. In 2017, they shut down Stormfront, which was this neo-Nazi website. And then shortly thereafter, they shut down Alex Jones, who, for those of you who don't know, he's a big figure in the United States. He's kind of like a crazy conspiracy theorist kind of guy. But a lot of times the shit that he says turns out to be true. So it's kind of complicated there because, on one year, it's like, oh, that's crazy. That's a conspiracy theory. And then 3, 4, 5 years later, oh, it's true. Shit like that. Anyway, it started with Andrew Anglin and Stormfront. Andrew Anglin is also like a neo-Nazi crazy guy. They shut him down on the private platforms, on the social media. And everybody said, oh, that's a good thing. And at the time, I was horrified because the slippery slope is undefeated. And what happened, of course, is that, they started with Stormfront and Andrew Anglin, and they just accelerated. And now they're censoring Seymour Hersh. Mm-hmm. Whatever you might think of Seymour Hersh politically or even personally, there's no doubt in anybody's mind that he is a major journalist. And the piece that he released on Nord Stream was a major piece of investigative journalism. I mean, really, you can't say that it was poorly written or unimportant insofar as current world affairs. And Facebook, which, for all its faults, it's still one of the major social media platforms. It's censoring it, it's blocking it. You can't get to the article. And the government. And in my own case, all this shit that's going on, this repression, this censorship, it's only going to get worse. And there is nobody who's going to stop it. Tucker Carlson, good on him. He's trying his best, but he's just one guy. And in a very real sense, he is marginalized from the levers of power. And there is no group of people who are coming up in the ranks who truly believes in free speech. They only believe in free speech to the degree that it helps them. And they want to elevate that speech that does help them and suppress the speech that doesn't. In my own case of being messed with on Google, right? I personally find it funny, but I find it very indicative. Because there are other things that I've looked for on Google that I can't seem to find. And then I'll go on Bing or I'll go on yahoo.com and I'll find them fairly easily. Mm-hmm. And of course, the stuff I'm looking for is fairly controversial. I'm not looking for a new t-shirt or some shit like that. No, I'm looking for information that the regime considers, bad info, misinformation, disinformation, Russian propaganda, and shit like that, which is, of course, stuff that actually is true. Try Googling Hillary Clinton introducing George Soros. Try Googling that. Try to find that video. You'll find a hell of a hard time finding that video. I came across it by chance, and I'd heard about this video, and I saw it, and I retweeted it, as a matter of fact. I don't know how long it'll last on Twitter. I certainly know that Google won't index it. And why does Google matter? Well, plus 90% of all internet searches are done on Google. It's the default mode on a lot of computers. And so, of course, people will hop online and they'll go to the first engine that's available, that's easy to find, and they'll type it in Google. And it won't occur to them to look at Bing or look at Yahoo or DuckDuckGo or any of the other smaller search engines. And so you see how they're controlling information. There's something else too that I found out recently that I found deeply troubling. You know, Rumble, the video platform, the video sharing platform that's sort of like an analogous to YouTube. Well, it turns out that one of the big donors to that, one of the big financial backers to that project is Peter Thiel, and Peter Thiel is a bad actor. You know, he's a transhumanist, a Straussian. He believes in an elite that should control everything, a named elite, an elite with that should be like a separate class. He is this weirdo rich guy who is trying to live forever, actually. He's dumped a whole lot of money into trying to prolong his life indefinitely. And so you see what's going on. I find it deeply troubling. There's no solution to this. Our civilization is just decaying. And I've gotten some criticism, private criticism, from a couple of people saying that I'm way doomer-pilled, that I'm too black-pilled. But that's how I look at things. I'm not saying what I'm saying because I want things to be horrible. They are horrible. And I'm a fundamentally cheerful guy. I mean, you guys watch me on my videos, right? I'm not doom and gloom. But this is how shit is. You got to face it. I reiterate my statement. For those of you in the United States, get the hell out. There's no future for you there. There's no future because it's going to get more and more repressive. And now you have the government chasing after people because of what they said. And soon enough, you're going to have the government chasing after their money, their ability to earn a living and to survive. The companies have already done that. Oh, they have. There are lots of people who said things that they shouldn't have, that went against the grain of these social media platforms, and they got deplatformed across the board. In Europe, it's much worse. I know people personally who not only have they been deplatformed from all social media, they've also been deplatformed from all financial institutions. They can't open a bank account anywhere. Well, that's the truth. And that's happened in Europe now, right now, in the European Union. And soon enough, it's going to be happening in the United States too. So it's smart to be paying attention to the direction of travel, because that way you can anticipate where you're going to wind up. Understand what's going on.